Hello and welcome to A Celtic World, the YouTube channel for Celtic fans all over the world. From Balahi to Boston, from Montrose to Malaysia, we connect Celtic fans all across the planet. And the exciting news is we've changed what times we go out, so I'm going to show you the new times for 2024. Now, if you're coming across us on YouTube for the first time, welcome. Join in the comments. Feel free to like and subscribe if you fancy. These are the times. It says here at the top, Sydney, 8:30 p.m., Seoul, 6:30, Hong Kong, Singapore, 5:30, Abu Dhabi, 1:30, Rome, 10:30 a.m., Celtic Park time, 9:30 a.m., and Pittsburgh, 4:30 a.m. for those hardy souls in Pittsburgh who want to join us live. Probably nobody. Now, of course, this is our first live stream that's also going out as an audio-only podcast. So it'll be available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and others. More information on this later. But if it's your first time coming across us and you're listening to the audio podcast, you're very welcome. But let's get on with it. Who's on today's panel? David in Malaysia. How are you doing, David?
I'm delighted with the result, but I have to say I somewhat overindulged since Saturday. So bear with me. But Happy New Year to everybody who's in the comments of viewing.
Happy New Year to you too. And to Brian in Ireland, how are you doing?
Again, echoing what David says, Happy New Year to everybody. Great result and a wee bit hungover, but hey, it's Christmas time. You have to do it.
And joining us for now, at least, is Stephen, whose connection may be slightly troublesome. So viewers enjoy seeing Stephen while he's here. Stephen, are you reading me? And there goes Stephen. I think that's a conclusive response to that particular question.
Very good.
Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, so let's see who's with us in the comments. We have some regular viewers have set their alarm clocks early to be with us. We have Gerald here in the Philippines. How you doing? Street Shouter. Happy New Year, fellow Celtic fans. Thomas Burns, Chris Boyd, Kenny Miller, and all at the BBC. Your boys took one hell of a beating. And Michael Ross is weighing in with a Happy New Year. Happy Hun scalping. Well, yes, indeed. Obviously, that's going to be the main focus of our conversation today. Let's look at what we're talking about. First up, that victorious feeling. Followed by, we're going to break down the game itself to some extent, maybe not in the same detail as we usually do. But, you know, because there's so much to talk about other than going through it step by step. Thirdly, we'll talk about what lies ahead for a Celtic world in 2024. Lots of very exciting developments. Follow up that with the Motherwell preview, and then our regular little look at the world of social media, Celtic related or otherwise. All right, so the Rangers game, emotions. David, where did you watch the game? Talk us through your experience of it.
Well, I had an absolutely fantastic time. This is a big draw for someone like Kuala Lumpur CSC, which, for those who might not know, I run. So I had about 14 people come visit, and we had a great time. So I was there early, getting all these flags up, set up. So I was enjoying the pre-match so much as well, and a few beers had beforehand. So my excitement levels were going sky high already. We had some visitors in, which was great, and I got some videos done for that, which maybe through the week or something we'll put together. And it was just a fantastic night. I mean, the feeling after a win like this, and because we've not been doing so well recently, it was fantastic. What a feeling.
Great feeling. And of course, your name is David Reid, and Paul Massey, who's one of our number and was at the Perth CSC, was with his best friend, David Reid, shares your name. And
here we go.
I'm going to show you a little clip and ask the question, do we have the wrong David Reid on the show?
Oh, not a field goal hat-trick. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Celtic.
Look at that. He nailed it. 2-1 Celtic. That was prior to the game in Perth. David Reid getting it right.
Is there a similarity there? I don't know. Maybe it's so wee similar. Maybe it's just a beard. I don't know.
Well, there's a bit of similar coloration and
The colorations,
her suit around the chops.
very handsome guy, that David Reed. Very handsome.
But like yourself,
Very
David, he
good.
models himself on you.
I'm the
Put him on.
original.
You're the original. I'm the best.
So, what about you, Brian? What was your experience of the game?
Yeah, watched at home. It was 12:30 kickoff, and it was the first day I was meant to be off the drink. And well, obviously we won, so I'll put that to knock that in the head. You know what I mean? So yeah, just a great day. I was delighted with the performance, and it was so good. It was nervous. You were going through every scenario in your head. You were like, wonder if they beat us, if they score early, what happens? But we'll talk about the game. But just a great day, a fantastic day.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, for me, it's the after event as well.
Joining us, but well, here's Stephen at the event enjoying himself. There you can see him. He's in Sydney, Scruffy Murphy's. I think that's where he's coming, or he was watching the game. And did you see this picture on the group chat? This is by Dano, or from Dano. Dano's our American colleague who's back in the States, and he seemed to be watching it on a projector in a very bright room. So there's like a ghostly image of Kyogo hugging someone after the game. Is that really how he watched it, do you think?
The ghost of old Rangers.
That doesn't look great. Now, let me see. Who else did we have? We had, well, Kaiser. Kaiser was at the game, and he sent through a little video, which I'm going to try and share now. Yes, now this video is interesting because he took some videos in the stadium, and the camera work was, let's say, a little bit jumpy. But this one I'm going to include with a still image because of the sound of it. Just sounds fantastic. So great scenes there, Brian. Do you remember that song when it came out?
Was that Mental as Anything? Is that the name of the band?
The strange one to have been adopted, isn't it?
I have vague memories of Sevco playing that to us whenever
they did the first time,
and then we played it back.
Co-opted.
Yeah. They tend to copy us quite a bit.
Yeah, do indeed.
The good thing about that song is how well it works with the Glasgow accent, isn't it? Of course, it's like, "Hey there, you with the sad face, come up to my place." You know, they can really belt it out and make it far better than the original. Actually, the original was a terrible song.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
You're one of those.
You
bands,
have to say that.
Go ahead, David.
I was just going to say that one of the things that I did feel about the stadium was the atmosphere seemed to be electric. You know how it's difficult. We always say this, watching from a distance, but it looked like it was a crazy atmosphere, right? You could tell the place was on fire.
Alec Gray spitting at every opportunity. As my mum used to say, he was like a spitting devil. He was like, oh, well, of course, yeah. But just looking at him at the sidelines, the staunch face, every 2 minutes, spitting. Like, what could you be spitting? You know, what's
chips? Well, look, before we get into it, we're about to talk about the game, and before we do, take it back to me being a little schoolboy, and there was a guy in my school, and he really wanted me to get him. He wanted me to get into the same music as he was into, and he forced me to go home and listen to an album called Hatful of Hollow. Then I came in the next day and he's like, "What was your favorite song on that?" And I hadn't listened to it, so I remembered that "Reel Around the Fountain" was on it, and then he asked me to sing it, and of course I couldn't. But anyway, that person was Brian. The band was the Smiths, and started a lifelong love affair with the Smiths, and of course Morrissey. So regular listeners to the show know that we made a little song. Oh dear, something's going wrong here. I've lost control. Yes, I made a little song based on Morrissey. Last time we beat Rangers. So let's have a little listen to the slightly updated version of that. You go, Brian. Get it, please. Right up, ye.
Get it right up you with good picture of Voldemort there at the end. Like I don't know who made that up, but the man deserves an Oscar. That is fantastic. Voldemort, just
all right. Well, look, let's talk about the game. So, starting lineup, I think there were no surprises. David, first half. Then, were you happy with the first half, or talk us through your emotions during the first 45?
So I think overall, I think it was comfortable for us, right? I think we were comfortable. And I think if they had scored again, we would have found another goal. I think across, we were quite assured. I think McGregor played brilliantly from the centre and commanded the game well. I thought we were profligate, though. I thought there was a few chances that we missed. And it was the same old story that we're just not quite on it. In terms of, I mean, great to see Bernardo score an absolute belter volley in, etc. And great that Keogh goes back in. But there was a lot of chances and there was a lot in our play again that just doesn't seem to be quite where it needs to be in terms of taking those chances. But I'm not going to complain too much. I thought first half, we were in charge of it. Again, Bernardo, I was a bit annoyed with his celebrations as well because he got himself booked and then I think because he got another booking. He was a wee bit reckless. I will maybe talk about Bernardo. There's some rough edges around his play, but again, I think he did well to come in. And again, it's great scoring. But yeah, that's what my opinion of the first half was.
That's interesting. You watched the game again today. I had intended to, but I didn't get a chance. But I said on the group chat at halftime that I thought we were pretty lucky to be 1-0 up at halftime. I thought they had a fair amount of the first half. Was I talking pish, Brian?
No, again, Dessers missed a couple of anybody with a football brain would have scored. And there was a couple of decisions that were a bit iffy that we got away with, I believe. There was a couple of 50-50s. Yeah, and then, I mean, Bernardo missed a header, I think, from it was a corner from Palma. Again, it was fit. I do agree. We were lucky to be ahead, you know, but I didn't have that feeling of we're not going to lose this. I was worried about the referee. I was worried about VAR. I was, you know, running out of luck a wee bit, you know. But second half unravels, and we all know how it went.
Well, at halftime, I was praying for an early second half goal just to knock the self-belief out of them, which I think was not in very short supply. I think they came and played with a degree of confidence, given the circumstances that they were facing, you know, full Celtic Park and all that, for the Celtic fans. And I was thinking, oh, if we could just nick another goal, they were 2-0 up, and then that puts to bed the fact that they were pretty good in the first half, or that we weren't that far ahead of them. And then it came. So talk us through that goal, David.
Well, it was a thing of beauty, wasn't it? Kyogo's just a wonderful, wonderful strike. I think it came from, did it come from McGregor across? I can't even remember that part, but just remember him sort of taking it off to the left and hitting the ball past two defenders and it going into the back left net. And it was him. This is the thing that I've been saying about Kyogo, is that when he does that was what we were so used to him doing, was these incredible goals, like, and you know, spectacular. And he's just not. In the last few games, he's kind of been taking those balls and knocking them left or knocking them over, etc. It was just timed to perfection. It was just beautifully moved, and it was him at his best again. So it was absolutely brilliant, that goal.
It was absolutely brilliant, but I mean, I don't think it's what we're used to seeing from him, really, that kind of goal from that far out and everything. Like, when it happened, was there a moment of disbelief, Brian? Were you like, what? How could he just score from there?
Yeah, it's like the commentator was almost putting it towards Maeda. He was like, and he's going to put Maeda in, and then just hit the back of the net, and it was like,
I thought that myself, yeah.
Amazing. I was waiting on VAR. I can't relax these days because you're always sort of waiting to get it, you know, is it going to be not chalked off for interference or something like that? But it just hit, it was almost shock, but it was brilliant.
Yeah.
You know?
What a moment.
I have to say, I absolutely agree with you. To get that goal was necessary, because they did have a go at us in the first half, and I agree with Brian that it seemed that we were always going to be able to walk away with them, and there was a sense of that. But getting the early goal, absolutely essential to us.
You could see them, just the will to win, just the energy just zapped them. They just couldn't believe. They were just, they might have. I'm sure James Tavernier was disappointed as always. You could see the likes of Goldson and all these guys shaking their head, just going around Cantwell and all the rest of it. Brilliant. I think we should have
lost the way.
We did. We should have been 4. I believe we should have been 3 or 4 up.
Yeah,
you know?
And then the next incident of note was their sending off. They got Balogun sent off, and when that happened, I'm sure we all thought, "Oh, it's in the bag. We're probably getting at least maybe another 1 or 2. This is great. Everything's going our way." In fact, that's what I put in the group chat, and then it didn't. Weirdly, what do you put that down to, David? Why didn't it all go so easily after that?
The changes that took place, I think, actually upset us quite a bit. They for the 10 men, I thought they actually came at us harder with 10 men than they had been at that time. Again, I think they had a fair amount. I looked at the stats. We had more possession. We had more shots. They had more shots than us, but we had more on-target shots. But I think there was a couple of reasons. One, remember I said Bernardo getting his celebration booking. That annoys me. I understand the emotion, the kind of charged situation, and you want to go and celebrate, but just take it to the edge of the park and celebrate the fans, because then he's reckless a few times and then he gets booked again. He was going to get booked again, and he managed not to get booked and sent off. And I think sort of the manager was then forced to bring on some players, and one of the players where it particularly started going badly was Mikey Johnston. Mikey Johnston shouldn't have been on that. He was getting bossed. He wasn't a big enough physical threat to them as well, and they were bossing him around. So there was a lot of problems, and I think it was mostly, one, a bit of determination and dig from them. I think there was a nervousness around, losing people because we'd had those decisions go our way, and maybe in minds of people, they maybe should have got a penalty, etc. So I think there was a couple of factors there that brought that change around, but we weren't very good, and it was starting to it got very nervy towards the end of the second half.
And then they scored a brilliant goal, obviously, the Tavernier special. I mean, say what you like about him, but that boy can really hit a dead ball. He's fantastic at it. And I don't know, Brian, are you allowed to say that you watched PLZ soccer? No, I'm going to say it. I watched PLZ soccer, and Ruffy was asked what did he make of the goalkeeping on that one. And his answer was, well, you can't deny that it was a great free kick from Tavernier. It was 80% Tavernier's doing, but questioning Joe Hart's positioning, his feet movement, should he have got to that? It wasn't right in the top corner. Where are you on that?
I just think anytime Tavernier gets an opportunity against us, I'm just thinking goal, and he missed 2 previously. Whereas I don't have the faith in the big lad to save those, and when they do, they obviously have a game plan to play for the free kicks and the set pieces because of the weakness. And as David was saying earlier on about the forced sub, our bench was still a bit weak, even though we had Abada, etc., coming on. And there was another thing, I was nervous about Abada coming on and getting clocked and getting just broken in 2. Because, but I think Joe maybe... I wouldn't want Tavernier to get that opportunity again at Ibrox and have the big lad nets, Joe and nets, because it's a goal. If it's on target, it's in. And that's the worrying thing. Whereas many a time, Boric or Fraser Forster, Gordon even, you'd fancy your chances of saving.
And what about the big incident that they're all talking about, David?
So the handball?
Yeah.
Very at the time I didn't see it, and then I had to get it from behind the goal to be able to see it for real that he'd hit the ball, and so by the rules of the game, then it's a penalty, right? That's it. But then for whatever reason, it wasn't communicated that there had been an offside, which then meant that it didn't matter whether or not he'd handballed the ball or not. Obviously, their manager was raging about that in particular, and he was up after in the game to the officials. But one thing I've kind of found about that was there was a certain entitlement from him about, I should have had that. It's like there's something very telling about the way in which he's getting used to being awarded penalties that they shouldn't have. But there was something, very much so. So I think, look, I've read some referees' comments on that, and they've said no, it wouldn't be a penalty incident because the right call had been made for offside. So if that's the case, I think it's just this amateurish kind of a VAR management from the officials that cause these things. Again, it was like another 10 minutes of added time as well, 8, 9, 10 minutes. It's just annoying that we keep coming back to this thing time and time again. And again, we talk about these incidents and VAR, etc. It's getting annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a little bit confusing, because when I first heard him saying, if it went out, if it was offside, why didn't the game recommence with a free kick for offside? That was his point, which I find sort of, good question. But I mean, I'm sure we've all seen all this kind of stuff. This is Bobby Madhun.
Yes.
He's saying, as it wasn't awarded, VAR would have checked it. As the penalty wasn't awarded, VAR checked to see if it was a penalty. That's what their remit is. Is this a penalty or not? If VAR believed it was a penalty, he would also check the immediately preceding events. That's what APP stands for, and then identify the offside. So to avoid any miscommunication, the referee would be called for an on-field review and decide if he thought it was a penalty. If the referee thought it was a penalty, they would show the offside,
and that's how play would be restarted. If the referee didn't think it was a penalty, it would be started as when the game was stopped. This is a bit of a cumbersome process, but it's designed to ensure people can understand the decision-making process. So basically, VAR didn't think it was a penalty because it was offside. And they said releasing an image of an offside however many minutes later was only to show that a penalty would have been the wrong decision. So, you know, they're still furious. Our fans are saying it wasn't a penalty. Dry your eyes. It's pretty amazing that it wasn't given, though. Did you not think it was going to be given? They're going to give a penalty,
Sure.
and then we'll never see that offside. That'll never be spoken of. That's what I was
We rode
expecting
our
to
luck.
happen.
We rode our luck. And I don't know about you guys, but I think Alistair Johnson was making me nervous a few times during that game. So for him to be the one involved in that, I was kind of like, aye. We've rode our luck here a wee bit. Did you not think he put us under pressure a few times?
He did. He did. I thought he was going to get a straight red. I thought that was, you know. Did anyone notice about his eye, his left eye? He seemed to be twitching. Did he get a knock recently? Did he get an elbow in the face? He kept on motioning towards his left eye. I just, you know, looked
Didn't
a
notice
bit.
that.
No, maybe it was the Heineken that noticed it. But no, he hasn't been great, and you know, fair play. We got away with it. We got away with a number of decisions, I believe. Okay, fair enough. The letter of the law and all the rest of it. Many times have we seen that go against us, but long may it continue. You know, it's good to see. You know, the champions should get the most the more decisions. When you think about it, they're playing we're playing the most attractive football. We're having shots on target. We're, you know, not defending as much as we should do. So yeah, I love the jungle.
This whole hoo-ha that they're now kicking up a stink. We're demanding the audio be released and all of that, and then it's not going to be released probably. But isn't this funny that they are the ones that are shouting and screaming for an independent, impartial, transparent refereeing set up in Scotland? Happy days. Let them, you know, lead the charge.
It's just noise.
The dossier. Do you remember they had a dossier? I don't know where they copied it. They went to pull it together, and it eventually amounted to absolutely nothing in there. But I totally agree. Please bring in independence. Bring in foreign refs. Let's get this sorted. This is the anomaly. I put is Celtic against the anomalies on the Kuala Lumpur thing, because this is ridiculous, and everybody can see it. English refs, commentators are seeing it now as well. Everybody's joking about it. So please go ahead. Let's have that independent, please.
It's just noise.
Not to get political about it, Brian, but in a way, where we come from, people say the DUP are doing more to further the cause of Irish reunification than anybody else. So have at it.
Yeah.
It would be the same if Rangers really got their way. I'm like, right, that's it. We want impartiality. We want them mic'd up. We want to hear every decision, and you can't get away with any obfuscation from this point forward. Wouldn't that be great for Scottish football and bad for them?
I totally agree. And bar maybe Hearts, I think there's a great relationship between us and other clubs. And I think, I mean, I was watching the final, Barry Robson, the Aberdeen game, the one they won the cup. There's not a great relationship between a lot of sort of other clubs and Rangers. You know, they're even the whole thing about, remember last year, the Cinch Premiership sponsorship thing, and how they didn't want to advertise some, you know, Cinch car dealership. I mean, holy Christ, just shut them out of the league. You know, they're just for the product alone. They're just embarrassing. They're like, they're like, I was going to say Man United, but United aren't even near it. They're just bad losers, and they do things the wrong way. Like, I remember as a kid, every player they used to buy was an animal. Hurlock and Hateley and Ferguson. They just don't play the game. What
would they do? They would do things like, you know, kick you up in the air.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a picture of Liam Scales kicking fellow Irishman McCausland up in the air. Not very nice to see, is it?
As a club in general, they tend to find themselves on the wrong side of just about everything, do they not? I mean, it's just a kind of, without asking them to do so, they seem to find themselves and place themselves in statement of clocks and getting involved with, dodgy finance and whatever it is.
Is it to keep the fans at bay? I think it's to keep the fans at bay. I think it is. Because if they sat there and said nothing and just let it go, then next thing you know, if they draw or lose, then the ticket sales will go down and it'll become an empty Ibrox. Well, less. They'll start getting on the backs of the players. So I think it's a damage limitation exercise. I think it's right. We'll keep the fans on board, and then maybe we'll have the winter break, and then we'll maybe get a couple. It's the Scottish Cup, and then we'll maybe beat somebody and forget about it all, and we'll go on a wee 8-game run.
It's a tough defeat for them to take, but
it's terrible.
A fantastic victory for us. And if there's one picture that tells you how much fun it was beating Rangers, it would be this one. Have you seen that?
Yes.
This is McGregor, and he's in a tussle with what's his name, TikTok Todd, and McGregor's like just laughing as Cantwell's trying to get the ball off him. So that's delightful, isn't it?
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if I was chairman of Rangers, or if I was the main man, I would say, right, guys, none of you are allowed to be on TikTok. None of you are allowed to be on Twitter. Keep your mouth shut. Say nothing. Don't come out. Look at even our guy Home, because whenever Thiago Home, he did. I don't know what game it was, but he put something up on Twitter, and it sort of coincided with, I'm not playing again. I would be just saying, okay, we'll look into this. We'll see what happens. They're just fueling the press, the likes of the Daily Record and all these and Sunday Mail and stuff. They're just having a narrative, something to talk about. Just kill it dead and go, yeah, well, we're going to have a meeting with the SFA. Move on. See, coming out saying all this stuff about the dossier and getting it on Sky Sports. It's like a thing on Sky Sports. That's like turning around and saying, I'm going to change my wallpaper in the fucking green room. Excuse my French. You know what I mean? It's irrelevant. It means the game's gone. The game's gone. Yeah. The points
the game is gone. So quit gurning about it, but I want to gurn a little bit about an incident, which is this one. This is the David Turnbull shot for a penalty. That why are we not going mental about this?
Yeah,
because this was shocking. Because he was definitely onside when the ball was played, and the referee's reaction you see better in this clip. He calls no penalty before he sees that the linesman has late put his flag up. Now, have we not got a greater case for saying we should have had a penalty in that game? Over and above the handball one that's making all the headlines.
So one of the things you observe about coming up to this game, right? I think Celtic fans are actually pretty honest bunch in terms of what we think of going on in the club, how well we're doing, etc., how badly we are. I think a lot of us were calling out just, what our form was like and what's wrong with the board structurally, etc. I think we will assess the situation and give an honest view, a realistic view, at least, of where we are as a club. There is, however, a sense that from the other side of the city that they can't recognise what goes in front of them, right? There's a sense of entitlement. There's a sense of we should be getting it down. The manager after the game for me, that was embarrassing, his entitlement for this. Yeah. So, yeah.
And it's a false dawn, right? Because if they're only getting impartial refereeing decisions in big games, as in Europa League against ourselves, then if they're going onto the pitch expecting, right, we're going to get 3 or 4 penalty shouts, we're going to get awarded a penalty, it's going to go in, we're going to get a number of free kicks. It's a false dawn because they're going into all these games and they're thinking happy days, and then they come up against us, and then they're playing a proper team, and they're playing under conditions that are more difficult. So it's like, remember was it the Champions League qualifiers or something? There hasn't been a penalty awarded to an opposing team in Ibrox, and then any time they went and played in Europe, they were getting boys sent off left, right, and centre, and they were getting penalties given against them. So, we try to embrace the European thing and being a wee bit more cute, and look at our naivety whenever we had the 2 boys sent off against Feyenoord, Lagerbielke and home. We work on that, whereas they I don't know what I'm trying to say, but they
I think that, let me try and summarize it. When you're accustomed to privilege, then equality feels like oppression. That's what they say in politics. So when they are suddenly being refereed properly, they lose the plot. They can't believe it. How come? What do you mean everything's not going our way? Where is penalty to Rangers? It feels like they're getting hard done by.
Talking of oppression and someone not being allowed to play but came on and did rather well, Norowski, did you not think he did tremendously well coming in? And why have we not seen him before?
Yeah.
Thought he played well. He was a bit nervous and actually, and then he grew into the game. Did he get booked? I think he had a couple of meaty challenges, which were nice to see. But again, it's another person who can come on. But I did think our bench was very weak. I thought, as David said earlier on, whenever Mikey Johnson come on, I just felt the game was starting to go away from us a wee bit. No, in saying that,
well, Brian,
if we get that penalty,
let's not move too far away.
Sorry,
Brian, let's not move too far away from Nawrocki, because it gives me an opportunity to play one of the new musical offerings that I was working on over the festive season. So here you go.
Here's how to pronounce my name. Celtic fan. Celtic.
Big Ange.
Still a law well.
Big Ange.
Still a law well.
Big Ange.
Still a law well.
Big Ange.
Still a law well. I wasn't really sure what was going on. I wasn't really sure what was going on. There you go. Nawrocki, never get it wrong again, David. Oh, sorry, I've muted you. Oh, no, have I? Can you unmute yourself?
Let's just make sure. Nawrocki. I remember there was it Paddy was the fella's name who was in the comments. I don't know, but there was a back and forth in that process, and you were having none of it, bringing it back on. But there we are. So I will try listen to that song. I'm going to wake up with it every day. It's going to be my ringtone.
That song brings back kind of PTSD for me, Gav.
Why is that?
When I was in third year, the year above you in school, I tried to feign, and not injury, but feign sickness because I did no revision for my exams, and I actually got 19 in Latin. And the teacher, Father Whiteford, took the piss out of me, and he was going through everyone's scores. He had Peter Fitzmaurice at 75, and you had whatever, all these other guys, Fra McEldowney and whatever. And they came up, Brian Hughes, who came 25th in the class with a high score of 19, and he goes, no. He started taking a piss out of me. So that song is good, really. Then I had to repeat that here. I ended up with a glorious Gav, But yeah, what a funny song. But, unreal. Amazing.
No, Nawrocki. No, I thought he did very well. And, it's funny. It's the usual story, isn't it? He comes on, does well. Brendan then talks about him and says, he's He's grand. He works hard, and we're going to see lots more of him the rest of the season. What are you talking about? You were going on about how him and Lagerbielke were training like a pair of grannies or something recently, and weren't going to get near the first team squad because of how they act in training. And now suddenly, when you need them, oh yeah, they're good players. I have no problem putting them in every faith. What's he on about, David?
Oh, I don't know, but I did like because he's been back and forth, is he not? Throwing people under the bus, dragging them back up, dusting them down, putting them on, and telling everybody they're the best surprise he's ever seen in his footballing career. So we don't know. However, what I would say is I like the steel and metal of Rodgers. There seemed to be the old Rodgers came back, especially his comments post the game. If you watched his face again, I saw it today again. You could see he was enjoying the moment, being there at the very beginning of the game. And I loved his swipe. I loved his swipe post and that was it. If he's back to doing that again, you can say whatever he likes about whichever player, whatever. He's fine again.
But Rangers are always coming. They're always coming, Brian. You better watch out. You're going to see the real Rangers.
But I was trying to work out the managers. He said that there was 5. I take it we're not counting Murdy in that. So there was Warburton, Ksenia, and then Murdy come in, and then Stevie Gerrard, Michael Beale, and then that Beale, and and now Clement or Voldemort. So he's effectively seen off 6 because Graham Murdy got the bullet as well.
Off Voldemort. That's what the Rangers fans are saying. What are you talking about? It's the first time you've played him. You haven't exactly seen him off, but it's just the same old story. This time it's going to be different.
Common. This time, yeah, we're common.
But yeah, it's a welcome to Scottish football for Philippe Clement, isn't it? I mean, did you see the captain's comments in front of all the prawn sandwich eaters at Celtic Park?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where he sort of said they haven't really faced anyone, meaning in the league. You know, they've just played a bunch of games, but you haven't got your feet under the table in Scotland until you've played your first Glasgow derby. Or as Neil McCann calls it, Glasgow derby. I mean, Old Firm.
Did you see the Paddy Power one the other day? I think I shared it in the group with a guy who's just obsessed with making sure there's no Old Firm. You mean the old form? Aye, there's no Old Firm.
Very good. All right, so anything else to say? Well, let's talk about just quickly, where does that leave us now for the rest of the season? So 8 points ahead. They've got 2 games in hand. First question is, are they going to get 6 points from their 2 games in hand, Brian?
Yes, they will.
David, you agree? Probably.
They have to. Minimum. Well, it's the maximum, but they have to get 6 points. If they drop points, if I don't know what the state of the game is, if we play next or before them, but if we go 11 clear and they drop points and we go 10 clear and have 2 games in hand, that they have to win both games.
Yeah, that's psychologically being double figures behind, regardless of games in hand. That's squeaky bum time, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think you've got to do. So the fundamentals for them have not changed, have they? I mean, we are screaming at our board and we are screaming at the manager and players now to make the changes necessary to react. Now, we've got within I think Jerry from the Sing Team said this, our fundamentals are still solid. We're not enjoying how things are going at the moment, you know. We need improvement from players, etc. But our fundamental infrastructure and ability to go in January and actually get players in with an appetite from a manager who's desperate to do so, I think that's going to make the difference, right? And it's this process of having the depth of the squad to get through a winter in Scotland, do the January transfer window, bring in those fresh legs, the excitement, the fans behind. There was a difference in feeling for me in the stadium with the fans. I think the fans were back on and focused, and I think most people have said, right, let's do that. I think Clemens has not yet been tested properly. I still don't think they've got fabulous, Tavernier's the free kicker, isn't it? He does well. But you've got TikTok Todd and stuff like that who gets hooked every single game because he's rubbish. He's not very good. They need to make serious investment in that team to ensure that they can get through the season. And I don't. So you might be right, Brian. They're grinding out results, right? But it always takes. There's always a slip up at some point. There's always that kind of lack of turn up on a particular game. And I suspect that just all of these facts are in our favour, that we'll see it through. Nothing that we can't be complacent in any way, but that's what I think is going to happen.
It's like your guy Fabio Silva, who apparently was hawked around a number of clubs, who joined them, and he says, "I'm joining the best team in Scotland." You think somebody from Rangers PR would just be saying, "Listen, son, keep it down. Just you're glad to be here. You want to put in a shift. Come out. I'm joining the best team in Scotland," and then they're now 8 points behind. And you look at the last 20 years, the amount of trophies we've won compared to the 1 or 2 they've won. Jesus, lads, it's a false sense of security. You know, our problem's the bench. Now we'll reinvent. We'll get a couple more players to have a decent bench. Whereas they're missing a forward. They're missing somebody in midfield. The defence is as you know, as long as you know it takes your man at Balogun long as a week in jail, as the saying goes, to turn. You know, he's all they have is Jack Butland and Tavernier, and I'll put my neck on the line for that. And there's a wee man Danilo, but I think he's injured. Other than that, we just need a couple of more boys to make the bench a bit more attractive instead of bringing Mikey Johnson, James E. Forrest on.
And, well, I mean, that's what it's all coming. All eyes are starting to turn now to the January window. So we'll see whether all this talk is, going to come to anything. Fingers crossed it does, but we just don't know. But the way ahead for 2024, a lot depends on that. And let's talk about the way ahead in 2024 for a Celtic world, because quite a few changes. We're on at the earlier time today for the first time, 1 hour earlier than normal. We only started the channel this season, and it's only Christmas, but everything appears to have worked pretty well so far. We've built up a wee group of people to show up and talk Celtic, had a few laughs along the way, enjoyed the interactions with the viewers. So far, so good. Time to move on to our next stage of development. So this is our new live stream time. As from today, we're also an audio podcast. I'll be putting this out afterwards on the audio platforms. And we have plans for some different shows to add to what we do. We're thinking of doing a few watch-alongs. Now, if, like me, you watch the games alone, or you fancy some company, or you can't find a way to watch the game and you want to do something more than refresh live score on your phone, which I've done hundreds of times, being out in the middle of nowhere somewhere, just hitting refresh on your phone to try and see what the bloody score is. It might be slightly better than that, having 2 of us watching the game, talking about what's going on. So we might give that a shot. There may be other shorter one-on-one shows debating a specific topic of the day. Might do a bit of that. And there are other plans, embryonic at this stage, David knows what I'm talking about, to make the channel more of a global Celtic platform. So more on all of that later, but exciting times ahead. And as I say, it's Christmas in our first season, so the very fact that we have anybody watching us at the moment is something to be celebrated. Now, speaking of celebrations and the way ahead, Motherwell is the next game up. Now, in the last episode, isn't it?
St Mirren.
Oh, St Mirren is the next game up. Thank you for correcting me. And yes, on the last game, Paul said the St Mirren game was the one he was more worried about than Rangers. He thought the Rangers game would take care of itself, home crowd, all the rest of it. But yes, St Mirren and our little compatriot Brian, Stephen Robinson. Do you think he's going to be a fly in the ointment? Because Brendan's going to be telling the players, listen, that Herculean effort at Celtic Park and all the plaudits and bragging rights going to count for nothing if you spunk the points against St Mirren.
Yeah, I think that's a watershed moment for us. I think those days of losing points to lesser teams is gone. I think now you've got Cal.
That was ages ago. We haven't done that for years.
No, I just think that
3
victory
games
from
ago.
I know. I was calling for Brennan's head, but I think the confidence that win will give us. The fact of the matter is we'll have to make a number of changes. We lost CCV. Well, we lost. He wasn't available for the game, and then Welsh, obviously, who broke his arm or pulled his shoulder. No, I think we'll kick on. I think with the reintroduction of Abada on the bench and Hatate on the bench, and Kyogo getting his everything's just coming together nicely. I have no worries about St Mirren. None at all. I think
Joe
we'll win.
Bloggs reckons everything's coming together nicely for St Mirren. Are you slightly concerned, David, or do you think routine 3 points?
No. Most games concern me, given that we've been beaten twice, right, and we've drawn and we've dropped points. And so yeah, game on Saturday was a great turning point. Hopefully, in that we can actually show true championship behaviour. I think we played St Mirren in November. We beat them 2-1. I think that was the score. As Brian says, I think we should be able to, and I think after Saturday, the confidence levels, if the fans, and there's a kind of change in atmosphere about how we're approaching things. But I don't think, again, Brian said, our bench strength is enough for us to relax until such time as we've got many more points on the board and we see what happens across the other side of the city. So I think we should be okay, but I'm not going to say for sure. Can't do that right now.
See the players, like if the players are sitting there and they're on the pitch, I'm not sitting there, they're on the pitch playing, and they look and see, right, we've got Abada on the bench, we've got Hatate, both boys who can go in and unpick a lock. You know, if it's not working for Kyogo, we can put on O. Is maybe the only sort of worry. But I think with the reintroduction to the group of Hatate and Abada, I think we're going to go from strength to strength.
So I was going to ask you, do you think those two will be playing against St Mirren? And on a wider point, we haven't seen Abada under Rodgers, right? And one criticism of Rodgers is, you know, unlike Ange, who had a system that made players look awesome, even if they weren't that awesome, as long as they did their job, everything worked brilliantly. Whereas Rodgers is a bit more give the ball to the player and hope he produces the goods because he's a quality footballer. That sounds like a role that Hatate can fill superbly. He strikes me as a Rodgers player because he can do exciting things with the ball. I wonder whether Abada, is he going to look good under Rodgers or not as good as he did under Ange, do you think, David?
A good question. Don't know. Again, very different system under which he looked good before. But he has turned up. He has turned up when it's mattered, even during Ange's time. Remember, we covered it in the We Never Stop book, and it was made to point out just what an impact Abada had as an individual player. So there might be a maturity to him. He's been off for quite some time, right? So do we have him back in fit enough? Didn't see him. What was he on? 82nd minute, whatever. But I think there might be something of a player there who can adapt and just turn up for a manager, and regardless of system. That's what I think will happen.
I think he could play opposite, and I hope you're right, David. But I have a feeling that giving the ball to Abada and saying do something good with it, you know, I'm not sure it's going to work out that well. He's good when he's part of a unit and the balls are flying across and he's arriving at the near post and all of that stuff, or at the far post. Brian, are you confident Abada's going to improve things markedly?
I think with Abada, there's goals. So if you know Kyogo's not, I would play him up front. I mean, it sounds radical, but I would try and as close as
Brian always has some outlandish take at some stage during the show.
But he's a goal. He scores
look,
goals.
the viewer numbers are plummeting since you said that, Brian.
All right, okay. Sorry about that, man.
Go
No,
ahead.
I think what's he 14, 15 goals a season guy. You can't remove that from the team. You have to try and get him in somehow. You know, Maeda, although he was very, I don't know, hitting. I just thought a couple of balls at the Rangers game. Maybe if a ball had been on, maybe something would have been a bit more creative. I just think Palma gives you a bit of creativity on the left. I would maybe, you could maybe put Maeda up front and maybe move Abada into the right. It's another angle. It's another opportunity to score goals. It's another player that can come on and make a difference. You know, I don't think he's going to start with him. He's not. You know, he's got the team to where they are. Beat Rangers. Maybe see if we can bring him on with 20 minutes to go. Ease him in
20 minutes to go. Well, there's about 5 minutes to go of this fantastic live stream, so let's move it on. Social media choices. Brian, you're going to talk us through this first one.
Is that Tom Selleck? No.
It's
this
Michael
was
Lowe.
Michael Lowe. Yeah, this was one of the mates sent this to me. It was quite funny. This poor gentleman. Where's Dungarvan? Is Dungarvan up near Dungiven? No. Or is Ballymena?
Well, it's somewhere in Northern.
No, somewhere in Northern Ireland.
This fellow was hammered drunk wandering through Dungarvan over Christmas. Somebody decided to put music and special effects to it.
So I think it's Adagio for strings. Yeah. It's a Platoon. There we are.
Right, I saw someone saying this was our version of Platoon.
Sort of speaks for itself, doesn't it?
The
That's whatever Tavern. That's like Taverniers just scored, and then they're back in this again, and then go ahead, lad.
Dear, dear. Oops, I'm going to stop that. Now, Stephen, who's not with us, this was his one. This was the Celtic Football Club's video. I don't know what Stephen was going to say about it. Was he going to say this is enough to, pull at your heartstrings? I don't know if you've seen it, have you? It's all about, this is our city and we are Celtic and Celtic fans and it's a club like no other and all this kind of stuff. And a lot of the comments on it are positive. I don't think I'm going to play it. A lot of the comments are positive, but others are saying like, birthday card pish, invest in the team, please, in January. Have either of you seen this?
Yeah, well, I saw it when Steve sent it through, so I watched it then.
And did it bring a tear to your eye, or did you?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Approach.
No, I didn't. But it's a nicely put together. I was kind of looking at from a newfound video creator eyes, seeing where they got their shots and stuff like that.
You see, here's some of the comments. Love you, Celtic. Hit our Tory board. Back the manager then and get his players in. Happy New Year. We all want a Lowell-free 2024, though. So, it's funny that they put this out and it's full of clips of the game against Rangers, the goals against Rangers. They're all in it and it's all feel good and aren't we great and aren't we one big happy family? But, it's hard not to be slightly cynical about it. But you can't be cynical about Laurel and Hardy, David.
Not at all. This is just beautifully put together. You don't even need the music card otherwise, but it just speaks for itself. This will make you giggle.
The sports jacket and the jumper combo of Chris Boyd. Magic.
Now, I don't know if you saw the thing that I put out prior to the show. I put it out on Twitter today. It was like just a little compilation of all the things I saw from Celtic fans all around the world enjoying the moment. So I think we'll leave the show on this if I can make things happen in the right order. we'll just play out on this video. So until next time, we'll see you on Thursday at the same time, everyone. Thanks for joining in the comments, everybody. Thank you, David and Brian, for being here and for enjoying what a wonderful moment it is to be a Celtic fan.